Have you ever wondered how your money grows over time? It's through a powerful financial concept known as compound interest. This is the secret sauce that makes your money work harder, earning you interest not just on your initial principal, but also on the interest that has already been accumulated. Let's break this down. Imagine you have a sum of money, say $1,000. This is your initial principal. This money can be in an investment, savings account, or even a loan. Now this principal earns interest at a certain rate per year, let's say 5%. Here's where the magic happens. In the first year, your $1,000 earns $50 in interest. In the second year, you're not just earning interest on the $1,000 anymore, you're earning interest on the entire $1,050. That's right. You're earning interest on the interest you've already earned. This is the power of compounding. So how does this work? It's all about time and frequency. The more time your money has to grow, the more interest it will accumulate. And the more frequently the interest is compounded, annually, quarterly, monthly, or even daily, the faster your money will grow. Here's a quick example. If you invest $1,000 at an annual interest rate of 5%, compounded annually for 5 years, your money would grow to approximately $1,276.28. Now, if the interest is compounded more frequently, say, quarterly, monthly, or daily, your money will grow even faster. Why? Because it's earning interest more often, and that interest is then earning interest and so on. But remember, while compounding can be a powerful tool in growing your savings and investments, it can also work against you when you're borrowing money. If you're not making regular payments, your debt can grow just as quickly due to the power of compounding. This is the magic of compounding, earning interest on interest. So what makes up compound interest? The magic of compound interest lies in 3 essential components: the initial principal, the interest rate, and time. Let's take a closer look at each one. First up is the initial principal. This is your starting point, the seed money, if you will. It's the amount you initially invest, save, or borrow. It can be a few hundred, a few thousand, or even a few $1,000,000. The initial principal serves as the foundation upon which your interest builds. Next, we have the interest rate. This is the annual rate at which your money grows or shrinks, expressed as a decimal. If you've got a 5% interest rate, you'd write it as 0.05. It's like the speed at which your money is working. A higher interest rate means your money is working harder and growing faster. Conversely, a lower rate means slower growth. And finally, we have time. This is the number of years your money is invested or borrowed. Time is the secret sauce of compound interest. The longer your money is invested, the more time it has to grow. It's like planting a tree. The longer you let it grow, the taller it gets. The same goes for your money. The longer it's invested, the larger it grows. These 3 components work together in the formula for compound interest, which is A equals P, the initial principal, times 1 plus R, the interest rate, divided by N, the number of times interest is compounded per year, all raised to the power of N times T, the number of years the money is invested or borrowed for. Don't worry if that sounds complicated. The important thing to remember is that the more often interest is compounded, the faster your money grows. And that's where the power of compound interest really shines. So there you have it. The initial principal, the interest rate, and time. These are the building blocks of compound interest. Now let's distill the compound interest formula. The formula for ascertaining compound interest is A equals sign P, 1 plus Rn net. To break it down, A symbolizes the future value of the investment or loan, including interest, is the principal amount or initial investment. R stands for the annual interest rate, expressed in decimal form. And N signifies the number of instances that interest is compounded yearly. Finally, T represents the number of years the money is invested or borrowed. Here are some pivotal points about compound interest. The higher the N, or the number of times interest is compounded annually, the quicker your money will accumulate. The element of time significantly influences compound interest. The longer your money is invested, the more it will increase due to the compounding effect. Compound interest can be beneficial or detrimental depending on whether you're saving or borrowing. If you're saving or investing, it works to your advantage. If you're borrowing, it escalates the cost of borrowing. What's the secret sauce to faster growth? Frequency. That's right, frequency is the unsung hero in the compelling tale of compound interest. You see, frequency is represented by and in our compound interest formula. The number of times interest is compounded per year. Let's take a closer look at this. Imagine you have a sum of money, and you're earning interest on it. Now, if the interest is compounded annually, you're adding to your principal once a year. That's great, but what if we could do better? Well, that's where the power of frequency comes in. If the interest is compounded semi-annually, that means it's added to the principal twice a year. Quarterly compounding, 4 times a year, monthly, 12, daily. You got it, 365 times. Each time the interest is compounded, your principal grows, and the next interest calculation is based on this larger amount. So, the more frequently the interest is compounded, the bigger your principal gets, and the faster your money grows. Think about it like a snowball rolling down a hill. The more it rolls, the more snow it picks up, and the bigger it gets. That's exactly what's happening with your money when the interest is compounded more frequently. Now let's revisit our earlier example. You invested $1,000 at a 5% annual interest rate. If it's compounded annually after 5 years, you'll have approximately $1,276. But if the interest is compounded daily, you'll end up with around $1,283. That's an extra $7. Now this might not seem like much, but remember, this is just a small-scale example. When you're dealing with larger amounts and longer time frames, the difference becomes much more significant. So the concept is simple. The more frequently your interest compounds, the more your money grows. It's like adding more fuel to the fire. And that, my friends, is the power of frequency. Remember, the more frequently your interest compounds, the more your money grows. Scene script. Let's see compound interest in action. Imagine you've invested $1,000 at a 5% annual interest rate. Now let's say this interest is compounded annually, and you leave your investment untouched for 5 years. What happens? Well, your initial principal, the $1,000, earns interest at 5% per year. That's $50 in the first year. But here's where the magic of compound interest comes in. The following year you're not just earning interest on your initial $1,000, but also on the $50 interest you earned in year 1. So as the years roll on, you're earning interest on an increasingly larger amount. It's like a snowball effect. Your money is growing not in a straight line but exponentially. By the end of the 5 years, you're not just looking at your initial $1,000 plus 5 years worth of $50 interest payments. You're looking at a total of approximately $1,276.28. And there you have it. Your $1,000 has grown to approximately $1,276.28. But beware, compound interest can be a double-edged sword. In the realm of finance, compound interest is a powerful tool that can significantly boost your savings and investments over time. However, it's crucial to understand that this very tool can flip sides when you're on the borrowing end. Let's say you take out a loan and you're not making regular payments to reduce it. The compound interest that once worked in your favor now begins to work against you. The interest is charged not only on the initial principal but also on the accumulated interest. As a result, your debt can grow faster over time, often at a pace that might surprise you. This is why it's essential to ensure regular payments to keep the compound interest in check when you're borrowing money. Remember, a tool is only as beneficial as its user. So, while compound interest can be your best friend when saving and investing, it can also be your worst enemy when borrowing. So, that's compound interest for you. A financial phenomenon that, when understood and utilized efficiently, can multiply your money with time. It's a simple yet powerful concept. Your principal amount, that's your initial investment, earns interest. Then, that interest also starts earning, and this cycle continues, amplifying your returns over the years. The frequency of compounding plays a pivotal role here. The more frequently the interest is compounded, the more your money grows. Remember, it's like a snowball effect. The more it rolls, the bigger it gets. But remember, compound interest is a double-edged sword. It's beneficial when you're the one investing or saving, but it can be a burden when you're borrowing, as your debt can grow just as quickly. So, equip yourself with the knowledge of compound interest. Make it your ally, whether you're investing, saving, or even borrowing. Harness the power of compound interest and watch your money grow over time.